Hey everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom Riggs. So this book kind of goes hand in hand with the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. Now, you don't necessarily have to have read one to read the other. It's not dealing with the same characters or anything like that, but this really makes the peculiar world come to life because it's a book of fairy tales that are kind of all like these ancient fables about the peculiar world. So it kind of has the impression of being given down like our fables today through oral history for years, and then they're finally transcribed in this book. And they're all stories about peculiars throughout the ages. The writing of this book was so well done because it read like a real fairy tale book. There was not one story on here that I didn't love. It came across as being fairy tales that each had a moral, and just if you're familiar with traditional fairy tales like Grimm's or Hans Christian Andersen, then you know that each story has a moral and they have kind of this fantastical quality to them, and it really came through in this book. Each story had a fantastical quality to it, and it also had a moral that was kind of not smacking you in the face, but it was obvious that there was a moral there. So it was kind of, at the same time as being its own fairy tale, it was kind of poking fun at traditional fairy tales, which was pretty cool. And honestly, Ransom Riggs, the whole peculiar world, he has created it so well. It's kind of this intricately woven world, and I think getting fairy tales from it was like the best thing. Now, you may notice that I kind of skipped over the characters, and that's because this is honestly a book of fairy tales, so it has like a bunch of different stories. So we have the Splendid Cannibals, which each has an illustration, which is gorgeous, but it doesn't follow the same characters, so I can't really talk about the characters. Instead, I'm just going to talk about the plot. I'm trying to show you another picture. Whenever I try to show you guys pictures, I always go past them. It's such a struggle. But yeah, so we have the Fork-Tongued Princess. My neighbors are getting out of their car and they're looking at me. This is fun. We have the first Yimbrin. I can't say that word, but it's fine. My neighbor is still there staring at me. This is tons of fun. This one's one of my favorites because it has a whale on it, and it's Cocobolo. That was hard for me to say. But there was not a story in here that I didn't love. I loved every one of them because I felt like I was really reading a book of ancient tales from the peculiar world. It was just so realistically done, and I fell in love with the stories. I think each of them read as like a bedtime story, and I mean, I plan on reading this to my kids when I'm older. If I ever even have kids, I'll read them these fairy tales so then they can fall in love with the peculiar universe from the time that they can actually listen and remember a story. I just think it makes the peculiar world come to life, and you get to see the origins of it, and you get to see these stories that deal with all kinds of different peculiarities, and that's what makes the series so awesome, is that it's so unique and these peculiarities are so weird and out there, and that comes across in this book as well because it's focusing on all these different peculiarities, and it's just so cool. Like, Cocobolo is actually one of my favorite stories, I think. I didn't like the Locust. That I would say is my least favorite one, partially because the illustration creeps me out because I'm not a big fan of like bugs with human eyes, but at the same time I did really like the Locust. Now that I think of it, yeah, there really isn't a story in here that I wouldn't give 5 out of 5 stars. I loved all of them, and I just found that this story, this whole entire book, was such a great experience to read. It really was an experience reading it, and I think it was kind of giving the gift of an experience, which you can't pass that up. So overall, I give this book obviously a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it, and I think if you are a fan of the peculiar world, then you will absolutely adore this. And even if you're not, I think this would be an awesome introduction to it because you get to see all the different kinds of peculiarities that there can be, and it's a really great introduction to the world. So that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this review was kind of short, but honestly, I don't have that much critical to say about this book because I really did love it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!